M0FXB Digital Ham Radio Diary, welcome. M0FXB, so we're going to update the firmware on my ICOM 5100. And to look up the firmware we've got, we're going to have to select Menu, then Others, then Information, then Version, and that's what we've got. But we will be upgrading to the version that came out on the 2020 January 24th, and it's the DSP firmware will be 1.14. So we will end up something like this: CPU 1.21, S 1.00, C 1.20, and DSP 1.14. We're going to need the cable OPC2350lu, and it would need a USB adapter to go into my laptop. And this also fits the ICOM 51. So the smaller end, the 2.5mm, plugs into the base unit of the radio. Before we do this, we need to load the USB driver onto our computer. So here's the USB driver, and I shall put the link in the description. So run that before you connect the cable to your ID-5100. Scroll to the bottom, click the tick, and then download. You'll end up with a zip file. The USB driver is at the top, and then the firmware is underneath. So let's double click the USB driver. It looks like this. We're going to run AMD 64. It is saying on Windows 10 it will automatically download the driver. I will add instructions for your different type Windows PC. So let's plug it in. I've got this message, not so sure if it's relevant, but I will restart. I'll also put a link in for the firmware download as well. Scroll to the bottom, tick the box here at the bottom, and then download, and you'll get a zip file. There's also a selection for the manual download page. So you've got firmware instructions here. So it looks like there's also firmware update information release E2, and that adds quite a few functions. DV fast data, improved near repeater scan, adds a new option to standby beep function, display caller's station's name on receive, adds TSQL option and tone settings. So I think it'll be the same process, I'm guessing. So let's have a look at where we can download that as well. So it looks like we're going to have to do 2 firmware updates. So again, I'll put the link in the description. Firmware update information released E2 download. Scroll to the bottom and click download. So we've got information as well on the ID-5100E release E3 as well. Lots for more information. I'll put this in the description as well. Look, split tone and all sorts of stuff here. I'm hoping it will do it in one lot. Cooling fan, because you know the cooling fan is quite annoying, isn't it? Quick menu, DV scan, auto dimmer, clock voltage, backlight nighttime settings, sub mute, brightness. So it looks like they did quite a few bits. Bluetooth headset. Okay, well, there's quite a lot to read there. So let's get this thing into, we need to get the radio into firmware mode and then plug the OPC2350lu into the radio, and then we'll fire up the XE that transfers the firmware. So there is a method of getting the radio into firmware mode. Turn off the radio, then connect your OPC2350 to the radio and the PC. Set the volume and squelch to the 9 o'clock position. Now, hold your finger on the quick button and turn the radio on. You're now in firmware mode. I shall show you this on the radio. Right, we're going to put the radio into firmware mode, so we'll turn it off. Power's still going to it. We're going to turn, I know it's all dusty, but we're going to turn these to 9 o'clock here on the other side. And the other side's at 9 o'clock as well. A little bit. Then we've got to hold down the quick button here while turning on. Right, it won't go in firmware mode, so I'm going to run the software, double click that little file, you get this window. I'm going to click yes. And then I'm going to select 15, which I know is in the device manager. See it there, USB serial port 15. Now I'm going to hold down the quick again and turn on. Okay, that works. So you do have to sort of run the software first. It flashes like that. Quite scary. And then back to the PC or laptop. Now you want to make sure you've got plenty of power in the laptop. I have, it's plugged in. And also even the lead, these leads, you know, the OPC, just don't touch it, because I've heard it disengaging. So you don't want that halfway through update. I mean, it is recoverable, but it could be so bad you send it back to ICOM. Anyway, back on the computer. Like so. And we've selected 50 and I'm just going to select OK. I'm hoping it will work. It says here, do you wish to start update? I'm going to click yes. And then I'm going to watch it and fingers crossed. Apparently it runs about 3 lots of firmware. So when it gets to the end, don't turn anything off, don't touch anything. I'll just show you what the radio looks like. That's what I'm seeing, and all of them will change when it's finished. So as it completes, I will show you. You can see that the cable is plugged into the one that's called data. No, it's a bit wobbly, but let's get some, there you are, data. So not the speakers 1 and 2. And then into my PC. Okay, I reckon each section is going to take about 4 minutes. Right, looks like we're all done. Firmware updating is completed. Click OK. I noticed the radio did reboot a couple of times, and it did say about the release E7, which adds some more features. Because I've seen all the E3, you know, extra features. So I did check, and the E3 is an older version. So everything in the newer firmware you get that's in the E3 list, and it's a very long list. I'll put everything in the links in the description. 7.3, thanks for watching, all the best. Let's finish up by going menu, go to other, just turning that knob, and then information, version, and there we are, all the latest. Cheers.